When she interviewed, I sensed an air of desperation about her, and I knew I could offer her anything. I've talked to you in the past about, how I enjoy working in projects, having, from a W-2 capacity or 1099 capacity, why I enjoy contract work. And I enjoy it because there's, starts and there are stops to contracts, and it gives you an opportunity to leave your mark, do your work, and then move on to something else. I am a continuous learner. I want to always be in a position where I'm expanding my own horizon, expanding my own skill set, learning something new and something different, experiencing a different industry, and, doing a different function or a different role. And ultimately, you already know my passion is people. I believe that training is the front line to change management. Having been a trainer now for 25 years, learning and development consultant, as well as a change practitioner, certified in ProSci change management, I have been doing this. I've been doing change for 25 years. So I have my project ended, and I'm looking at other potential opportunities for projects and or employment. So whether it's, a W-2, whether it's a 1099, even FTE, I'm open to everything. I like to keep, my mind open, my prospects open, and then to look at things as they come. So I thought about you today because I've talked to you in the past about how I prepare for learning and development, consultant, contracting positions, as it relates to, instructional design and things of that nature. And I talked to you about it as it relates to the STAR method, right? Situation, task, action, and result. I thought about that because I had been looking for my papers, and here they are. I found them today. I was so very excited. So as I told you before, I always have a copy of my resume, and then I have notes. You should always do research on the company or organization that you intend to contract or work for or pick up as a client. So I found my notes. I told you I keep them double-sided, right? Notes. Then I found something else here, like an action plan that I like to use to kind of get my mind around the opportunity, the scope of the opportunity, and how that fits into where I see myself going in the future. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you today about, always having those things and being prepared, and how then once you've done your preparation, you've got your notes and you've gotten things, mapped out kind of in your mind, and you know what you'd like to see as a result of a potential opportunity. Now for you to prepare yourself. And I wanted to say this to you because I know that we're in a time with, layoffs and projects ending and, the economy being somewhat in flux, people not knowing where we're going, where we're heading, whether or not we'll have a recession or what have you. There are some concerns about, maintaining employment, especially if you're out here. If you're out here, and I've looked down on social media and I see that people have been, submitting hundreds of thousands even of resumes to try to secure a position. There's a couple tidbits that I wanted to just present to you for your consideration and for you to be mindful of in the process. The interview process, the way, in my opinion, is a two-way street. You're looking at this position, this opportunity at a company, and you're trying to figure out whether or not you will fit. So you approach it, putting your best foot forward, having all of your credentials, all the time that you've spent, your education, all those things, a portfolio. You're ready, you're going to put your best foot forward. In turn, you should be looking for the organization to do the same thing. And I want to caution you from jumping, idiom here, from jumping out the frying pan into the fire. Just taking anything. And I'm going to give you an example. I was working some years ago, and for a while I was a stay-at-home mother. So I was working, coming back into my field, and I thought, I don't know how people will perceive me. I stayed at home for a little while. And even though I worked around my daughter's schedule. I worked after the school bus picked her up, and I was home before the school bus dropped her off. And that was a decision I made as a single parent. That was, thank God I was in a position that I could do that. But she was my priority. She still is my priority. She's grown now, so I don't have to worry about the school bus. But in any case, those were the parameters in which I worked. But I was going back to work full time. And I just really wasn't sure of myself. You know, when you've been away for a little while, you kind of, you're not really sure. You're not really confident in your abilities. Trust. If that's you, it's like riding a bike. Once you've done it, you know it. It's ingrained in you. You just have to remind yourself of who you are and what you're capable of, because you don't lose it, right? You don't lose it. It's still there. So anyway, I was working for this organization, and I remember that I had a conversation about my salary. I had negotiated my salary, and when I got my first check, what I negotiated wasn't there. So I had to let the director know, hey, this is not what we negotiated. So how can we rectify this? And it was rectified, and then the conversation continued, and I found out that another young woman who was hired around the time that I was, that I'm just going to tell you what was said to me. And it's been some years, so I'm going to say I'm paraphrasing, but this could be verbatim. I just don't want to put air quotes around it. I can't be sure if these are the exact words, but something to the effect of, when she interviewed, I sensed an air of desperation about her, and I knew I could offer her anything. Yeah, you heard that right. If you want to pause and then rewind it so you can hear it again and go back, yes. I sensed an air of desperation about her and knew that she would accept anything. And this young woman, based on the conversations I had with her, was making like mid-70s at the time, prior to coming to this organization where she was offered high 30s and could barely pay her bills. That's what she communicated to me. That was something that I logged in my heart, because I hurt for her, and in my head, that she needed a position so bad. She was moving from one location in the country to where she was in the organization, but that she needed employment so bad that she was willing to take employment that she knew would not pay her bills. So from a heart aspect, I never wanted to be that leader that would ever smell someone's desperation or take advantage of someone's situation to my benefit. And not even my benefit, because it's not like as a leader, unless you're running your own company, right, you're paying out of your pocket. But I always wanted to be fair. I always want to be equitable. I always want to do what's right by people and offer them what they are worth. Now, from a head standpoint, what I will never forget is she accepted it. So what I want to say to you is, right now, what I've seen on LinkedIn and other platforms, people are doing, by people, I mean organizations, are offering whatever, making you jump through, or making individuals jump through multiple hoops, being strung out months on end in an interview process. Like I myself was strung out a couple years ago, 6 weeks, won't do that again. To understand your value, what you bring to the table, your contribution, your level of experience, your work ethic, your professionalism, all those things that make you uniquely you and make you a catch, make you a valuable contributor on any level for any organization. I want you to remember that you set the tone, you set the standard for what your value and what your worth are, and how that should be interpreted by these organizations. Again, I'm in a position in life where I am very grateful and I am blessed that I can look at opportunities and say, this is not going to fit. I can look at job descriptions, although generic they might be, or talk to individuals and recruiters and know this is not going to work. I am really not a fit. I have sent back emails to recruiters highlighting qualifications within their own job description that was sent to me, saying, I don't have this. I don't meet this requirement. This is not a preference. This is listed under requirement. So I want you to think about your value and your worth. 2, I want you to go into these interviews, and I know we all have some interviewing. It's like test taking, right? Interviewing anxiety, test taking anxiety. I know that we all have some stress around it. You know, it's natural to feel put on the spot. You want to do your best. You want to make sure you're answering all the questions fully and completely. You want to make sure that you highlight your best attributes and, quantify all of your results that you had in other organizations. But if you're like me in the middle of life and you've worked for, greater than 20 years, it's hard to remember every single job you had and draw the equation to why that job and that experience should be highlighted for this particular job and this particular experience. Now, it's not hard all the time, but when you're in an hour-long, panel interview, sometimes just the stress of the situation makes it such that you don't recall things as easily or as, readily as you would have any other time. So as much as possible, I want you to relax. I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to know that what's for you is for you. And it's not going to pass you by. The opportunity won't pass you by. That you don't need to sell a version of yourself that doesn't exist. You don't have to make up a version of yourself that's not true, because I can guarantee one thing. Once you walk in that door and once the onboarding stops and the work starts, frauds are always uncovered. You will always be uncovered because you'll always be put in a position that you were not equipped or capable of. Be you. You are enough. Sell what you have. Look at your resume as I looked at mine, and just refresh your memory on the things that you are proud of, the things that you accomplished, the things that you want to highlight, the things that best represent you and your work and the product and what kind of contribution you can make to the organization. I prefer interviews that are conversational. Now, everybody has something they have to fill out, I'm sure, for HR purposes. That's why they like the STAR interview, because they have the form. I used to, teach the STAR method for interviewing. So for the S, they write down what the situation. The T, they have the task. The A, they have the action. R, they have the result, right? So they can look at everything that you have and see that you answer the question. I like conversational interviews because I think when people are put at ease, both from a interviewer, interviewee perspective, you tend to get more of who the true person is, right? You tend to get more of what's really behind the bravado, because everybody's putting on bravado, even the interviewer, because they want to fill the position. Who knows what's going on with an open rec? Who knows if that workload has been increased and everybody's doing the job for that one position. They just can't wait for them to come in. I've been on the other end of a lot of times where that's been the case. Like, oh my God, I can't wait till we fill this position. I'm so tired of doing X, Y, and Z. And that way we'll be able to do this and that and the third. But until then, we all gotta, hunker down. We all gotta work a little bit harder, work a little bit longer, put in a little bit extra until we can get it done. So I want you, as much as possible, to bring your whole self to your interview. Just not only your contributions and your accomplishments, but who you really are. To some degree, your values and your beliefs, because we bring those to work anyway. Once we get in the door, we show people, eventually you become comfortable and who you really are comes out. I prefer to show you who I am from the beginning. I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about the people side of change. And you have my resume, you call me in, you already know what's highlighted there, and I'm going to expound on those things, but I'm going to tell you, some of the behind the scenes to what, there's only so much you can put in 20 years in 2 pages, right? You only have 60 seconds or 30 seconds before they toss out your resume, or even for them to click on it in whatever, software they're using to now sort through it. So I prefer to bring myself to the table so that when I get in the door, there's no issue. You know who you were bringing in before I got there. So, and that goes back to the learning and development consultant in me. I always believe in setting expectations. Setting expectations so that we're all on the same page. There's no ambiguity. There's no misunderstanding. There's no confusion. That's the second thing. So get yourself prepared and then come in and bring your whole self to the table. And the third thing I want to say, and I'll conclude with this, is don't dumb yourself down. Don't lessen yourself. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't accept pay that you know you're not going to be happy with. Make sure that you flush out all of the responsibilities, all of the expectations of that position. And make sure that you are interviewing and vying for a position that you really want, that will actually fit, something that you can, watch this, grow in. Grow with the company, grow with the role, grow with the department, grow professionally, grow personally, whatever it is you desire to do, so that you can, you can have some time, a little bit of longevity, and so that you can walk away with something greater than that which you had before you walked in. So that it's beneficial for both. It's just not transactional where you get a paycheck, every other week or what have you, but they're getting a lot from you, and in return, you're getting a lot from them, that you're both growing together. So I just wanted to pop on really quick and talk about that as we're in this season. As for me, one project ends, another project picks up, and I continue on in my own business and following opportunities there, to make sure that we are cognizant about what it is we want, how we're going to go about getting it, and then what we're going to do once we achieve it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified every time, and the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload new content. If there's anything any questions you have or any thoughts you have, go ahead and put them down in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video.